So Akai has announced MPC 3. You still don't have access to it. Well, neither do I. But we still gonna talk about it. Let's get to it. Welcome to BeatsNBed, the home for bedroom producers. Today we're going to be talking about MPC 3, the latest update to the MPC lineup. And man, I'm telling you, I'm very excited. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, I'm sure you've already heard this information's been out for a little over a week now. And I purposely did it that way because I wanted to give it a fair shake, right? So one thing that's a little bit difficult when these new announcements come out is the ability, of course, for us to be able to get our hands on it, right? So we're really at the mercy of all the influencers that already have access to the beta. But I've found some pretty interesting things throughout all of this, and I just kind of wanted to talk about it. So, of course, one of the major things that have been announced is the arranger view, which I'm the most excited about. But there's like a 50-50 split of people who pretty much aren't happy about it. And I get it, right? Because for the longest, we've been using song mode. Now, I'll be honest, for me, I don't use the MPC the way most people use it. I don't use it as an MPC. I more so use it as a way to just kind of get my ideas out. So just a little background on me. I've been using MPC since the MPC 2000. That was my first MPC, the one with the real fat back on it, that was really heavy to lug around. I ended up upgrading from that and getting a 2000 XL, which I was in love with, and I took that thing everywhere. From there, I got an MPC 1000. And then after that, I got a MPC 2500, and then I ended up selling that, which I still regret to this day. But you know, here we are, fast forwarded to the future, and we are now using touchscreen MPCs, right? So in the midst of this time frame of me selling that MPC 2500, I've been using DAWs. Majority of my workflow is linear. I use FL Studio, I've used Cubase, I've used Reason. I've pretty much used every DAW you could think of, but for the most part, I use FL Studio, right? So one thing that has always been limiting for me is the way that you use MPC. I don't know about for you guys, but in 2.0, I felt like I was doing a lot more clicking around than I was actually making music, right? So for instance, you know, just to do simple things like change the metronome, right? You hit the metronome button, but it also takes you to a metronome screen, and you can't edit on the fly as far as your metronome goes or your time signature or anything like that. It was like always a separate menu, and that's what I really didn't like too much. And as a result of that, I'll kind of show you guys. My MPC Key is sitting over here in the corner looking lonely. It's been collecting dust because I just found it so much quicker for me to work in FL Studio with more of a linear workflow. Now, as I stated earlier, it's been a bit of a anger with that. You know, you got certain people that have been using MPC for a long time that aren't too happy about the fact that they have to move to a linear workflow, and they would prefer to have their song mode. And I understand that. But at the same time, for me, the arranger mode is just a lot more of what I'm used to. Now, I will say, with that, one thing that I think is going to be a little bit challenging for me is going to be the ability to edit and chop different things without a mouse, right? So a lot of us are pretty much used to using, mice and keyboards and key commands and slicing audio files and MIDI files on the fly. And that's not the way MPC does things. They more so have a workflow where you're taking that little bitty selector tool and you're editing, mathematically. And I'm curious to see how I'm going to adjust to that. And I do want to give, MPC 3 a fair shake and start to produce on my standalone unit a lot more so I can actually, utilize it for what it's made for instead of just doing an 8-bar loop and then dumping it inside of my DAW to finish the track later. I think the MPC deserves a little bit more respect in that, and I want to give it a fair shake. So I definitely am going to start using it the way it's intended. But with all that being said, I do want to say that I think I have an idea of what Akai is trying to do. One thing that I've been noticing about Akai is they have been really, in my opinion, aiming towards the new age producer. I think that MPC sort of has this stigma that only hip hop / boom bap producers can use an MPC, right? And I think that Akai is trying to come back and claim, that nostalgic feel of what an MPC is while still moving in the new. I think that they're targeting, the younger producers, the FL Studio users, the Ableton users. And you can kind of tell that because they've been introducing these plugins that are very similar to what we're already used to. You have the plugin that they released that's a lot like Grossbeat, right? I wonder why they would bring something like that out if they didn't plan on competing. And then you have the soft clipper, right? Which is a huge plugin within FL Studio, which gave it a lot of praise for its sound. If you've really been watching their moves, they have been targeting a younger audience and getting more people reeled into the Akai workflow. I just think that 2.0 was really lacking a little bit of, giving that new age producer something to grasp onto and learn. Even for me, right? I've been using MPCs for a while, but it's still like when you come back, there's a learning curve because you kind of forgot, what you used to do. I think MPC 3 is really bridging the gap between hardware and software and like merging it into one. And I'm still very shocked at the fact that they're able to do this standalone. Like, we have to really consider the fact that they have been making the MPC a hell of a lot more user-friendly out of the box. Like, you don't even have to go to the computer to make a full record anymore. And I'm really like appreciative of that. I can remember a time when I was using the MPC 2000 and I was dreaming of a way to just take my sounds from the computer or add my sounds to the computer instead of dumping 8 tracks out at a time, or it might have been 4 at the time, where I think you can upgrade the ins and outs in the back. But yeah, dumping my sounds, via some type of cable and just sending everything over to a computer. And those days are here. You know what I'm saying? I remember a time when I was like, I wish I had a touchscreen MPC. And look, we are here. You know what I'm saying? So I think instead of us trying to, bicker about what we would rather have, I think we need to be appreciative of where we are. And I'm really just excited, man. It's a time to be alive, and I'm happy I'm here to witness this, because these are things that I used to think about it in my head and say, man, what if, right? And it's here. And I'm excited. Now, one other thing that I've been seeing a lot of hype around was the one-to-one track workflow. And what I mean by that is that we can no longer just keep adding program files and just moving them around to different tracks as we see fit. Now, a lot of people are angry about that, but I'm not. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because I used to get into a habit of loading a bunch of programs into the MPC and only to find out that I'm using maybe 1 or 2 sounds out of one, or 2 packs. And then I might load some other sounds that I don't really like within the session. And then I'm having to go back and remove what I don't need, which is taking up memory, right? I like the fact that they're making you a little bit more intentional about what you add per track. Therefore, you don't really get lost. And if you don't like that sound, you just remove the track. So it's still the same workflow. It's just, to me, more streamlined to get you to work more in the arranger view. So like I said, I think this is more so targeted towards becoming more of a full-fledged DAW versus it just being a groove box. And I'm here for it. Another feature that they've introduced is disk streaming, which I think is really cool, because now you don't have to utilize your usage on your MPC. You can literally just stream, larger files directly from your hard drive space. But with that being said, MPC, if you are listening to my small channel, if you guys can just make a way for us to be able to audition our own expansions the same way that you can with plugins. You know how you can just kind of skim through all of your plugin sounds till you find something that you like and you can play it live on the keys or the pads. I think it will be fire if I can load my expansions and literally audition the sounds on the keys without officially loading them onto the pads. Because I would find myself a lot of times having to go outside the session, and tinker around to see if it's something that I like. But sometimes I think the workflow could be a hell of a lot better if we just had a way to just audition some of our own sounds that we found or we've created. And that way we can utilize it on the main mode or on the arranger mode. That's me just kind of wishing for the future, but I'm really excited and still can't wait to get my hands on this update, man. And watching all these influencers has been really exciting. So, Kai, shout out to y'all, man. But yeah, guys, I didn't really want to make this video too long. I just really wanted to showcase all the features that I'm excited about and what I'm most looking forward to. But I would really like to hear from you guys on what you are most excited about in the comments below. Tell me what features you're looking forward to, how you plan on rocking out with this thing, and how you plan on making beats going forward. I'm really anxious to hear what you guys got to say. And if you guys haven't already, sign up for the open beta. I'll have a link in the description of the video. You guys go ahead and sign up. This is free, man. It's free for MPC 1, MPC X, MPC Key 61, MPC Key 37. Pretty much all MPC owners can access this, man. And I think it's a good time for you guys to try it out. And if you're new to MPC, it's a really good time to jump to the ecosystem and get acquainted with it. I think you're going to really enjoy it. And if you guys haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave me a comment. Again, this is BeatsNBed, and I'm out of here. Y'all take it easy. Peace.